All right, guys, it's game 4 of Order and Chaos Fight Night between myself, Steven, and that's Tim.
And I'm Tim.
And as you guys know, we have built basically all of these decks for the IDs in Order and Chaos. You can find our deck lists right up here in this space, in case you haven't seen them yet. They're also in the description if you would like to follow along in a less interactive way.
Which is fine.
It's absolutely fine. I'm going to talk about my Argus deck.
Okay, let's hear it.
We're going into this game. I've won 1, Tim has won 2, and I've got to seal the deal on this and go 2-2 on you here. Very important. Argus Security is going to be doing it. I had a very similar idea as you did. I wanted a little bit of the moment thing. You know, I didn't think just loading up with the 1-pointers was going to work. But I also wanted to kind of force the runner to go tag me and then punish them for it. So I really liked False Lead in Argus.
False Lead in Argus, I think, is a very strong call.
If you're going for it, because it's a 1-pointer, so you get a little more density. And then
I really considered, instead of Glen Station, running 7 agendas.
Yeah.
2 of them being False Lead.
No, I didn't go Government Takeover. I wasn't that crazy. So I went 3 False Leads, only 2 Hostile Takeovers, which hurt me.
It's a mistake, probably.
I think so. 3 Project Atlas and 3 Cleaners. The idea being that if I can score a cleaner, certainly I want the density to lower with those 3-pointers, but if I do get a cleaner scored, Argus becomes cool for me. So you either take 3 meat damage, which you're pretty much not going to do, or you take the tag, and you're going tag me anyway, so now Scorched is worth more, and Dedicated Response Team is way more annoying. So I felt like there was some synergy there, and it just felt very Argusy. A lot of influence there on Data Ravens, and I'm running Hunters, I'm running Taurus to clear your Plascreed. So I want you to be tag me, and I want to take away the means for you to basically not die. That's the idea of this deck, and I got some punitives in there as well. So nothing terribly fancy, just some early game ice, get some agendas out, hopefully score a False Lead or some cleaners, and then go for the kill.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. What about you on Max?
My Max deck was what people have been calling, I don't know why they call it this, but an Eater Keyhole deck.
Oh, yeah. E-hole.
E-hole. But it was essentially just Max with the typical clone chips, retrieval runs. I'm going to get an Eater, I'm going to get a Keyhole. I'm going to Wonton you. I'm going to Keyhole you. I was running 1 Hades shard in case you got a little feisty and decided to ice that Archives up hard.
You running the Cutlery?
I am running the Cutlery.
All right.
I was running 1 knifed, 1 spooned, and 2 forks.
Okay.
Which I would change now.
What would you change it to?
I would change it to 2 knives, 1 spooned, 1 forked.
All right, so we're going to keep an eye on the Cutlery during this game. And we also want to keep an eye on Chrysium Grid. The Argus deck that I'm running here is the one Wayland deck that I included some Chrysium Grid in. I felt it made sense because once you go tag me, a lot of my taggy ice is really out of the question. It's really bad. So like Data Ravens don't matter. You can just break through them or not care about them. And I wanted to shut off centrals, at least momentarily, with Chrysium Grids to kind of slow the central pressure down. Because a lot of times with tag me, in my experience, your centrals just start leaking really hard.
Yeah.
I've got a Hunter, Data Raven, Taurus. It's like you could not care about any of that. So if I can at least get 1 piece of ice you have to use Eater on, then Chrysium's going to slow it down. And well, now I can't do my things. So we're going to see if Chrysium Grid plays a role. We're going to see if Cutlery can get around it. And we're going to have a thrilling game 4. So let's check it out, guys. Let's go to the booth. All right, thanks again, Tim and Steve. We are here in the booth, and we're going to take a look at this game and see if the, I guess, guesses and hopes and dreams of these 2 decks are going to be realized. My name is Steven.
And I'm Tim.
And I'm playing Argus on the right. Tim is playing Max on the left. Tim, we've talked a little bit about your Max deck in the pregame, and we're going to be taking a look on if you actually are able to accomplish the things that you set out to do.
Which is most likely true.
Which is most likely true. There's a green level clearance from old Stevie in Argus. That was a last minute include. I had 3 open influence, and
it's not bad. I like that card a lot.
It really lubes things up.
It does. That is a great description for that card.
And if you're going to be doing some meat damage, then it's a good thing for you. I did kind of right in the middle on this Argus deck. There's some 1-pointers, but there's some cleaners as well.
Are you running psychographics in this deck?
No, sir.
Okay.
No,
Because that would
sir.
make me really happy.
It's just like good ice, green level, and then I'm basically trying to do kind of what you did. There's Dedicated Response Team. We got tags going on. I'm trying to make you go tag me. And that seems to be what people are doing with Argus. I don't know if it's right. But the thing you got to look at, you know, we talked about is if they're running second click and they take a tag and shake it, what are you doing besides just a little tax? If they take the meat damage and draw 2 cards, what are you doing besides just
tax.
little tax?
That's what it is.
And if that happens, like...
Click compression, I think is what they call that.
The max that can happen is 6 times a game.
The max that can happen?
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was... When I was looking at it, that's the truth. Like, it is going to happen at most 6 times, and it's probably not 6 times.
Run R&D, see a hive? Yeah, probably not 6, unless you're not running Atlas.
Which is a mistake.
It's hard. It's hard to say that that's ever worth it.
Turns out Atlas is a really good agenda.
Yeah, I thought the cleaners was perfect for Argus.
Yeah, I agree.
If they take the tag, their scorchers are even scarier. Your punitives are scarier. If they take the
I was
meat
running
damage,
3 cleaners.
There it is. Access another card. Oh,
Boom.
It's a false lead.
Taking a tag.
Now 3 false leads is what I'm all about in Argus. They take the tag, you clear 2 actions, and now all of a sudden they're stuck. So it makes that decision a little stressful. You can score an early false lead, I think. I like that 1-pointer in the deck, because it wants 1-pointers anyway.
Yeah.
Very
I agree,
cool.
That's good.
Score it out, stick them on the meat damage or the tags. And you're running HQ.
I'm debating on whether I'm shaking the tag, I think. Or am I running? Did I say run?
Yeah, it looks like we're, yep, going to res a Lotus Field.
Lotus Field, out of here.
And just say, no thanks, Tim. No siphons, please.
I'm going to stop to look at those pretty flowers. Oh, these lotus fields are so pretty.
Then you're going to write an awesome punk rock song about them.
I need to do that now.
Last click. Where's it going?
Here's where I debated shaking a tag, which I'm not going to.
Oh, you almost install a spinal modem there.
Spine modem.
Hey,
which
you
is
know,
going to be my downfall.
I know. We're going to see, spoiler alert, we're going to see spinal modem a lot more now because there's a little less virus business going on to compete in Anarch. We've got some other tools. So we don't have to run Grimoire necessarily. And I think a lot of us are drawn to Spinal for that reason. It's kind of the other option. Max gamble keyholes, and then you draw a card after playing a hostile.
So this is my Eater deck, if you will. It's a pretty revolutionary idea. I'm running Eater in like Keyhole and Wanton, no siphons.
So a lot of access replacement or access deferral, I would say, and Eater. Well, then why is that Mimic there?
Because Swordsman exists.
Aha.
And then sometimes I want to access cards.
That's true.
And so I like to break things sometimes.
Undoubtedly
the
true.
only breakers in the deck are Eater, 1 Mimic, and 2 Gripsis, though. And Gripsis is there almost entirely for remote access.
I was doing very similar things with old Valencia.
I like Valencia a lot, but we'll talk about that later.
Throw another up on top over R&D, trying to solidify that central. There goes Eater into the garbage. Not sad to see that. Three credits and Retriever running archives to get Eater into play, and there it is.
I got it.
The max play we've all been talking about, hoping for.
That's what we wanted.
That's what we wanted.
3 credits and a Retriever run.
3 credits and a Retrieval run, baby.
That's what I wanted.
I mean, getting Eater into play is big. You know, Retrieval run's great in this deck, and me being somewhat new to playing against Max, did nice archives, and that's a lot of the core play has to change now to accommodate the tricks coming out of these Anarch decks, like they have to accommodate the criminal tricks and the Shaper tricks. Now we really have to care about the Anarchs too, and I think that's a great place to be. Drawing a lot of cards here.
You do that a lot.
I do like to draw cards.
I do too. I've found. I remember in the beginning, as a newer player, I was always afraid to draw cards as the corporation.
Yep.
But then as I've played more and gotten more experience, I've started to draw a lot more as corporation, which I think is a very key thing to winning this game.
Absolutely.
You have to find cards that you need to find.
It's sometimes you hold on to them like they're a little too precious. You don't want to draw up over your limit and then have to discard, but you just got to get to the cards you need, and you got to get to them faster than your opponent does.
And that's one of the really beautiful things about Netrunner, I think, is the fact that you can do that.
Yes.
It's like, oh, well, I need to find a card. I'm going to draw until I find it.
I am wide open for some account siphon shenanigans here, given your Eater.
I'm not running the account siphon, though.
Install a remote, install over the top. I have you, like, definitely on siphon here. Like, at least 1 or 2 with, like, Planned Assault or something. haven't seen a whole lot of influence in the garbage, so. Iced up. Look at that. Look at these servers starting to get a little secure here. You've got Eater that can easily deal with it. I can't scare you too much with... you're pretty low on credits. I guess I could scare you with a Archer.
Yeah.
But you don't care. You're Max. Not going to res. And then we're going to res a Hive.
Hive.
And that's pretty safe right now.
Yep. Now, if I remember correctly, that first ice is a Hunter?
It is. The top ice is a Hunter, yeah.
Now, if you could go back, would you res that on that first run?
Knowing Spinal Modem, I might. See, my problem is I really don't like to show ice until I really want it to be shown.
Yeah.
And so, like, you're going to come through here and kill this piece of ice. And now, actually, it looks like not resing that ice was a great move. Because you're going to say, that top ice, he can't res it or it doesn't matter. And then we're going to see that it maybe does. And you can come in here, one to get to strength, one to break, bad pub, couple credits, and knifed ahoy. Last one going to access remote. Great use of the Eater suite there. There's a Hunter.
I'm just taking it, which is a mistake.
Taking the tag, and we both missed the Spinal Modem brain damage.
Which we will correct later in a very convoluted and
we will correct
confusing way.
Yes.
But
that's a critical thing for Spinal Modem to keep in mind.
It's a huge mistake on my part.
For Hunter being an Argus, that's a big deal.
And I know Hunter is an Argus. It's just a good piece of ice in that deck.
Yep.
And it's just a mistake. Mistakes were made. And it's just a mistake. You can't take a brain damage against Argus.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. Unless you're running like origamis or something to get your hand size back up.
It was the perfect play if I'd just been paying attention, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, he did that on purpose. Like, I did do it on purpose, but not as great of a purpose as I originally thought. That Hunter's actually fantastic.
Show you my hand.
Purpose.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. I might not have even installed Spinal Modem in this game if I had remembered that part of the text.
We all are just revisiting some old cards. I've been a big fan of Spinal Modem for a while, but you just forget about that thing.
Yeah.
You always forget about it.
Well, traces don't happen all the time.
No.
Like, they're very rare these days during a run. Most people opt for more firm subroutines.
Yes, more firm. More firm subroutines.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
You knew exactly what I meant.
I like mine firm as well. Keep the subroutines firm and the traces loose.
Sure. That's what they say. I want a shirt that says that.
What are you doing? You getting deja vu here?
I'm discarding.
I think I threw down the old Chrysium on Argus. The thing I was worried about is that you just don't pay attention to remotes at all and just hit some centrals. And so I wanted to get you on remotes. So Chrysium is in there for a little annoyance. I wanted to see how it played too, because it's like supposed to be such a hard counter to Eater that I wanted to see if it really did.
It is a hard counter to Eater if I'm running HQ replacement effects.
Definitely worried about Siphon here.
Yep.
Just 3 credits away from getting in, and that's all free with Spinal Modem and Bad Pub. So Siphon looks real good. And we're going to resolve the Spinal Modem that we missed earlier. And not taking a card or anything, but just going to go down to the limit next turn. Because I think at this point you can't take a card.
Because I've drawn and...
Yeah, it's just way too far. Max hid in the hospital.
I can't wait till we have a way to remove some brain damage. But I can't wait. I mean, I don't think we'll ever get it.
You can just get a little public sympathy, you know? And maybe that's a way to run Max. Just tons of card draw and public sympathy or...
Origami.
Or
once ever Beach Party comes out. Is that the one that...
Max at a Beach Party is awesome.
It's the one that gives you +5, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Or Game of Day? One of them.
Let's just call it Beach Party, whatever. I think there may be both.
There is both.
Beach Party and Game Day.
I can't remember which one gives you +5 hand size.
I like Max going to a beach party. It just seems like the kind of thing that would never happen. Or she'd be there in a very ironic way, you know? Like judging people.
I feel like she's like laying on a beach on a towel in her leather jacket.
Yeah, exactly.
Like she doesn't want to be there, but she has to be there.
All right, just installing another on the remote there. Going to try to get that ready for a... That tells me probably next turn is install advance. That's pretty much the only reason to establish a remote like that early for me.
Yeah.
So might be trying to sneak a cleaners out.
I think I'm about to spoon that Lotus Field and get it out of there.
There's the same old thing for click 1. 2 and 3 gonna get the spoons on the Lotus Field.
Spooned in the Lotus Field. I gotta get that ice out of there.
That's gonna do it.
Because I assume that that's Crisium Grid.
And you can't access anything because you used Eater.
Well, I can access 0.
You can access 0, yeah.
But I'm not going to be a successful run in case it's Will-O-the-Wisp.
Yeah. Right.
And then now I'm going to run there again, I think, and trash whatever that is if possible.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it. And that's how kind of the Eater cutlery thing can work in clearing way for these servers. Really cool to see. Just a new way to look at things. And that is Crisium. 5 to trash.
It's expensive.
Yeah. You can look at it.
Yeah, it's real good. I have Wanton in my hand, and I want to Wanton. That's a funny sentence, but
oh baby, the cleaners comes out. You stole it from me before I get it in that remote. Oh, Steven angry.
This feels great. I feel good right now. I'm on 5 points. Only need a 2-pointer. If I only didn't have that brain damage.
That dang old brain damage, man. And there's just no talent. Like, HQ is kind of safe. Like, it's annoying for you to get in there because I can just res the grid. Uh-oh, here's a punitive. Trace is going to be 6. Not pumping it. And that's going to be 3 damage.
Now, it's worth noting, Spinal Modem is only during a run.
Yes.
For the Trace.
Yes. And so I have a lot of good meat damage plays here, unless you have I've Had Worse. There's the Wanton, there's the I've Had Worse, and there's the I've Had Worse. Oh no. Well, there goes the kill.
Were you going to go for the kill there?
Yeah, I think I had the kill.
If it was there.
If it was there.
But instead, I draw 6 cards.
Yeah, thanks.
I've Had Worse changes the game.
Your face. That's so good. It changes everything. This is absolutely what Anarch needed. It's over. Like,
would you say that I've Had Worse is the best card in the box?
It is the most game-changing. I say it's the best card, yes. Hands down.
I would agree with that.
Hands down. This is a card that defines the Anarch faction at this point.
I agree. And
it's just perfect, man. It's absolutely perfect.
It's everything that you want an Anarch card to be.
Yep. Perfect theme, perfect function, perfect synergy within the faction. So everything is excellent.
Right now, I have 3 I've Had Worses in the graveyard. Or the
yeah, you've really had worse.
I really want that to not be the case.
Yeah, that's #1 priority right now.
So I really want a Levy.
Yes, that would be nice.
Or a Deja Vu.
But you got like a billion cards in hand.
I know.
You don't want to levy all those back in, you know?
I kind of do. I mean, I don't want to die is the main thing.
Yeah, it seems like, uh-oh, there's some money. So at least that'll maybe, yeah, you're down to 4. So like a double Scorch here looks fine.
Unless I have 2 I've had, wait, no, that can't happen. My deck's getting a little low there, it looks like.
Yeah.
Max is known to do that.
There's Jackson.
Digging. You're just digging.
Yeah, let's just put some pressure on here.
Now, this next turn, I think, is the turn where I was really considering shaking 4 tags.
That's reasonable.
That's
totally reasonable. You're on 5 points.
But you're at 1, I'm on 5. And then I have a brain damage, and all 3 I've Had Worse are gone.
You kind of need to set up and get it in 1 turn.
Yeah. And I think that this is the turn. I felt like there was a turn where I spent quite a bit of time thinking about what I was going to do.
Day job's out of here, and there's a stim hack.
Which I'm not going to play.
Please, Tim, please. Go to 3.
But yeah, it's just one of those things that I have like 4 cards left. I think I'm going to draw for Levy here.
Yeah, there's I've Had Worse. Well, you know it's coming. And nearly the bottom card in the deck there.
Yeah, there it is.
You're like, that's what playing new decks is like, I did put a Levy in here, didn't I?
Well, I knew it was there. I just knew that all 3 same old things were in the discard pile.
Yeah.
And I knew that there was like 2 cards left on my deck. Or 4 cards left on my deck. And if Levy gets trashed, there's literally 0 chance I win the game.
Yep. Agreed.
So I have to do this. And then I hope to draw into at least one I've had worse.
That would be, I think, yeah, that
But
looks
I need
good.
2.
I don't think
And
you
I think
saw
I drew 1.
Did you draw 1?
Mm-hmm.
I remember it. You had worse a lot during this game.
Yeah. Well.
And I was thinking to myself, how much worse can he have?
You know Max. She goes to a lot of raves. She gets a lot of mosh pits.
She does, yeah. It's like, oh, this is nothing compared to, like, you know,
Friday night.
Beanstalk Festival 2085. Had to be there.
I would love to go to Beanstalk Festival. That sounds like a blast. Am I wrong?
They're scorched. Uh-oh. This could be trouble.
Yep, I've had worse.
You're going to draw for I've had
And
worse?
I drew another I've had worse there, but it doesn't matter if you have another scorch.
I think we have another scorch here. There it is,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, we'll just win. Well, good game.
Yeah.
All right, we did it. So Argus Security went tag me, kind of paid off in the meat damage cards. I just got the meat damage cards that you didn't get in our game last time, which I think it would have gone similarly. I kind of like the 1-pointers in there, feeding a few down the pipe. Pretty cool, but now we are 2-2 in the series. Tim and I, thank you guys so much for watching, and we're using our data tokens, our click trackers, and our credits, and all the other auxiliary tokens, and our playmats. So,
and our table.
If you like any of that stuff, then you can find it on our store. Thanks so much for the support, guys. We're going to keep these coming. Moving on to Game 5. Let's join Steven and Tim for the post-game report. And that is the nature of Scorched Earth, man.
That's Netrunner.
So here's
it happens.
We got to talk about the biggest thing in that match, which is
my huge mistake. Is that the one you're talking about?
Neither of us. It's basically here. If you want to get right down to the philosophy of it, it's the new Anarch rig enabling something other than Grimoire, right? Yeah. Basically, because Eater Keyhole, it's like, well, maybe I'm not doing viruses anymore.
I wasn't,
and you weren't, and so Anarchs are starting to look at Spinal Modem. But a lot of us, especially the Anarch players who have gotten used to Spinal Modem never really doing anything, and then the new Anarch players who have never read Spinal Modem fully, it's hard to remember that you take a brain damage when you get traced during a run, right?
Which I forgot.
Which just so happens this deck was actually set to do quite easily and well. So really kind of a bad matchup there. But so taking the Hunter tag obviously doesn't matter, but the brain damage which we caught a couple turns later.
That was the I should just never have installed Spinal Modem.
Yeah.
There's no reason for me to install it in that. If I don't install Spinal Modem, I think I win that game.
Yes. I would agree with that. Because if you stay on 4 cards, I've had worse does not protect you anymore.
Right.
And
which
that's
is what happened.
What 1 brain damage is.
Yeah.
And I think we see a lot of the interesting things about these cards like Amped Up and Stim Dealer and these kinds of cards where you can either run those and have another strategy like people are doing Public Sympathy or Origami, those kinds of things. Or you have to rely on Plascrete at that point, you know? You can't rely on I've had worse if you're going to plan to take some brain damage. You could do both.
I've had worse, but...
I think I've had worse is just, it feels so strong, right? Doesn't it feel...
It's card draw.
Yeah.
In an Anarch that doesn't have card draw.
Yes, especially against like HB. Like against HB, it's like, I'm just drawing cards. Yeah. Like then it's not a dead thing like Plascrete is.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that was just a huge mistake on my part because I wasn't even thinking about the trace. And I know that Argus runs Hunters. It's just so good in that deck, I think.
Absolutely.
It's just a mistake.
Well, you went... I saw it was pretty interesting that you drew some cards there at the very end with Max.
Yeah. At one point, there was... I think it was 4 cards left in my deck, and I had not seen my levy yet.
Yeah.
All 3 of my Samuel things are in my trash.
Yeah.
So there's no way for me to play that if it gets trashed. And I know that if that gets trashed, I will never win this game.
Yes.
There's 0 chance I can win this game.
100% true. Then it's
and
just
so I had to draw for the levy, so I didn't trash it with Max's ability.
Yeah.
And it just so happened I drew and it wasn't the levy.
Oh.
And then I drew and then it was the levy. So that was fine.
So you found it.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say I was really liking Argus. I didn't see a dedicated response team, which is a bummer. Your Cutlery was able to deal pretty well with Chrysium Grid.
Yeah.
It wasn't a heavily iced situation, but you know what? You got through, you got in, and basically had a tool in your tool belt to make that happen.
Yeah.
So I think that was pretty impressive and a good showing of kind of what this matchup might look like, what this Chrysium Grid, how to deal with it, how to handle it, those kinds of things. So there you have it, guys. Argus versus Max, part 2. I'm feeling pretty good now.
Yeah.
2-2. So we're going to go to the last pairing of the series. We're going to see Valencia facing off against Titan Transnational. Should be some interesting matches. Catch us on Game 5, guys. We're going to see you there. Thank you so much for joining us.
See you guys.